Greg, thanks again for being here. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And this is Clayton.
Clayton Iberg.
Let's hear it for Clayton over here. Now, you're officially a Portlander now, of course, originally from Scotland, and I was doing a little research in case you get homesick for Scotland and you want some haggis. Are you a haggis fan? Is anybody a haggis fan?
That brings back some memories of my childhood. I'm not going to lie. Haggis?
For those that don't know, would you please explain
time.
this Scottish delicacy?
You want me to explain
Please.
it? Oh, Jesus.
Not the reason for it being in existence, but just what it is.
I don't want to get this wrong. I'll be crucified.
It's innards.
All I remember is it's a bunch of spices and vegetables and some sort of innards wrapped in a sheep's stomach.
Yes. Yes. Well,
and you would eat it with mashed carrots and mashed potato.
Well, I have some very good news for you and everybody. You could find it at a food cart here in Portland called the Flying Scotsman. So if you want some haggis, you want some sheep stomach,
you won't find me there.
I'll give you directions. The new album, your 5th studio album, is called On a Lighter Note, and you have 4 album residency shows, album release parties happening at the White Eagle Saloon starting tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Tell us about that.
You guys around? Yes. So I don't really tour anymore. Since having a kid, I just didn't. Financially, it never made any sense. It was stupid. But I really enjoyed it. And now I have a son. I'm like, I don't want to leave him for very long, at least at this point in his life. So I'm not really touring. And then the pandemic as well kind of put a stop to that. I'm going to tell the longest story ever.
We have nothing but time.
And so anyway, I miss playing. And this release was coming up. And I was like, I could just do a record release show. I could put all that effort in and just do one show. You know, Clayton's here, and I've got a full band playing with me as well. And I'm like, that's a lot of work for one show. So I decided to do 4.
Plus
and
4 in L.A., right?
There's 4 in L.A., 3 in L.A.
3 in L.A.
3 in L.A., yeah. Which I seem to be putting a lot less effort into. So I should probably start getting my shit together. But I'm excited about the ones here. I also don't really know that many people. I've been here for 3 years at this point, and I still don't really know anyone. Been kind of isolated, but...
Everyone, please give your first name. Let's go down each row so Greg can make some new friends.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Doesn't matter.
So you'll play the album in its entirety?
Yes, from front to back, in order. And then I'll play a few old songs, too.
And I understand there may or may not be a special guest at each show.
There is a special guest at each show.
Can you give us any hints? Is that top secret?
Well, no, it's not top secret. Tonight is a guy called Jacob West. Tomorrow night is a guy called Jacob Westfall from Portland, who's great. February, I haven't figured out yet. March is my friend Garrison Starr, who's phenomenal, from LA, and David Ryan Harris, who's a phenomenal guitar player and singer who plays for John Mayer. He's been playing with John for 20 years, I think. So those two are, I don't want to say opening because that would be offensive to them, but we're going to be on stage at the same time. They're good friends of mine. I love them, and they're so talented. So, and then April is actually Clayton's band. Dadweed, great bluegrass band from Portland. So
nice, excellent.
Yeah.
Let's hear for Clayton. Now, unlike most artists, I understand you are not releasing this album on any streaming platform, and you put together a really cool video on your Instagram page. It's funny, but it explains it very, very well. Can you kind of just give us a little version of why you're not going to put it on any streaming platform?
Yeah, there are a bunch of reasons, and they're probably all horrendous reasons. I mean, well, they're not horrendous reasons. I'm so self-deprecating. I ought to stop doing that. They're good reasons. I just don't know if it's very good for my career. But I started a podcast last year called Dropped, last year. And we're sort of dissecting the music industry and our own careers and seeing where we failed and where we could go, where we could improve and what we could learn on. And so we've talked a lot about streaming and how bad it is and how the royalty rates are just ruining artists' lives and writers' lives. And so
artists make nearly next to nothing.
Almost nothing. I mean,
fractions of a cent.
So anyway, my point is that I decided to release this record without streaming because I wanted to put my money where my mouth was, because we've been talking about it, talking shit on Spotify for so long. I'm like, I don't want to be like, stream my album on Spotify, please. It just didn't make sense. So I decided I'm just going to release it physically on vinyl and CD. And then I am actually going to put it on iTunes. I decided to put it on iTunes. But the thing is I think we've been conditioned to think that music is free.
Right.
And it's definitely not free to make. And it's definitely not free to tour. And I think that Spotify has turned it into kind of a commodity that is worthless. And if I put my album on Spotify, I'm well aware that it will make almost $0. So why? why devalue it immediately? So I thought I'll put more value back into it and start selling it physically. And that might turn some people off, but I think people who love music and love independent art will support it.
And enough other artists follow your lead here and don't release albums on Spotify.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll start ponying up a few more pennies.
I mean, I'm a pioneer, guys.
You really are.
Really leading,
He's a rebel. Let's
leading
hear
the
it for
charge
him.
here. It's going to be, I don't know what it's going to be like. You know, that means that 60 people are going to hear my album, probably, but that's all right.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about that podcast here real quick before we get back to the music. You mentioned at one point you kind of feel like it changed your life. It's called Dropped, by the way, if you want to find it and listen to it.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? It's just very cathartic, I guess, just to talk about everything going on in your world?
It's really helpful to find a partner to talk about it with. And we've interviewed a lot of great guests who are really knowledgeable. And season 2 is going to have even more amazing guests. And what's cool about that is you get out your own head and you start talking. I've never interviewed anybody. I've always been the one who got interviewed. And so that was a real learning lesson for me. When I learned how to get better at it, it really opened my eyes to other people's ways of thinking. And so, I don't know, I was able to just learn a lot and then implement it, or at least try to implement it.
And again, it's called Dropped if you want to find it. Are you guys ready for some more music? All right, Greg Holden and Clayton.